We have reached 1994 and we have a huge fan favorite, Super Bomberman 2, released on the Super Nintendo in all regions. The Japanese box prominently features Gold Bomber, who first appears here, though he's only a multiplayer gimmick. Our story introduces us to an evil team of bombers. Now, there will be quite a few teams of bombers throughout the franchise, most of them only appearing once or twice, but this first one would reoccur quite often, and make a lot of cameos. They are called the 5 Bad Bombers. Yeah, that's what they're called in English here. Now, in a much later game, they would be given the name 5 Dastardly Bombers in English, which apparently isn't as close of a translation as Bad Bombers, but Dastardly just sticks in your mind more, so they have become more commonly referred to as the Dastardly Bombers. So that's what I'll be going with here, even if they're not called that yet. The 5 Dastardly Bombers, or the Dastardlies. So, the Dastardlies are built by an alien who wants to conquer all of space, or multiple aliens if you're reading the English manual, and are sent out to capture the original prototype Bomberman. So, where White Bomber being the first one in the TG16 game was only implied at best in the original Japanese story, here it is confirmed even in the Japanese original. So, the Dastardlies managed to capture him, and now our hero has to fight through their base and escape. The English manual further specifies that he is captured from Earth, even though we already had Planet Bomber in the last game. But I mean, Super 2 here is more of a sequel to Super 1 than to 94, which was on a different console, so maybe this is taking place in different continuities? From what I can tell, the Japanese manual doesn't mention any planet, but I could be wrong here. One more thing to note is that the Dastardlies are referred to as cyborgs here, not as robots. The nerdy technical difference is that a cyborg is usually a human or humanoid that has been mechanically altered. Sort of a half-living creature, half-robot. So did this mystery alien use human test subjects to make them? We'll get back to that one much later. The first thing we notice is that we have no co-op mode like in Super 1. I mean, 94 didn't have one either, but that one had an excuse because it was on a different console, but this is a sequel to Super 1, so it really has no excuse for not having a co-op mode. It doesn't fit the story, but they could have, I don't know, said the Dastardlies captured both white and black instead of just white, and there we go, an excuse for black to be there for player 2. But no, white's gonna have to do this one alone. The second thing we notice is that the music is entirely new, and not just the sound font. This game, from what I can tell, recycles 0 melodies from earlier Bomberman games. A bit of an odd choice, but I do like the music in this game. Our death animation has us sitting down and crying? This is why I make mention of death animations. They keep changing. He explodes most of the time, but I am pointing out when something else happens. In our game over screen, whoa, weren't your eyes vertical just a second ago? If we don't continue, his face flickers off again. Another hint that it might be a screen. We start in Magnet Bomber's base where we see a bunch of magnet-themed gimmicks, like, well, magnets, and magnet enemies. We also see red spots on the floor that strengthen the flame range of bombs placed on them to the max. The stages themselves are much more elaborate with winding paths, and the exit door is a part of the stage now instead of spawning randomly. Much like 94, we have switches to bomb to open the door, but we do still have to kill all the enemies too. After 6 stages, we face Magnet Bomber, who has, what else? Magnet bombs. After the duel, he boards his mech, which looks a lot like the one Dr. Mook had back in Super 1. And that's music. So Magnet's part of the base is destroyed, and we move on to Golem Bomber's base, where we find the red penetration bomb power-up. Despite the power-up showing us a red bomb like in Super 1, penetration bombs now have spikes on them, making them a bit more distinct. We also have blocks that we can push into holes by bombing them, opening new paths. Some blocks can't be moved until we bomb a switch that activates them. If you liked having combined remote penetration bombs in Super 1, I have bad news for you. Penetration bombs and remote bombs now cancel each other out. You can only have one from now on. Oh, and be careful not to put a bomb in front of the furnaces. So we face Golem Bomber, and hey, he can throw bombs? Oh looky, it's a blue glove power-up. This allows us to pick up bombs we're standing on, carry them around, and throw them. Much like the punching glove from Super 1, but useful in different situations. Golem's mech has 4... cannons, shooting flames that explode on impact and damage not only you, but also him. Thank you for doing my job for me, Golem. Pretty Bomber's base section has trampolines that can really throw you off if you don't know what you're doing. I swear. This part right here is the death of me. These enemies are invincible until you bomb a switch. These enemies ride around in shells or sometimes tanks. Blow them out and you can ride them instead. Wow, Bomberman in a tank is so adorable. These level exit switches can be turned on and off if you bomb them multiple times, and the exit only opens if they're all on at the same time. So you actually need to plan out how you're going to bomb them, adding a bit of a puzzle element to the game. And this stage has submarines and fireworks. Why fireworks? Who cares? It's fun. And so we face Pretty Bomber, with her heart bombs that chase you around. Despite being part of a team of 5, she will actually make quite a lot of cameo appearances throughout the franchise on her own, and is in fact the leading female Bomberman character despite not being the first. You know, a lot of these evil bomber teams are mostly dudes with just one girl. Smurfette principle much? Pretty Bomber's mech is a giant sun. Hey, didn't we already face a sun in Bomberman World Arcade? What's the deal with all these suns we have to fight?
You know the only one to blame will be my enemy, the sun.
Hey, at least they don't appear as much as the bubble-spitting crabs. After that sun battle, we move on to Brain Bomber's base, where we have enemies that create soft blocks and moving platforms to get around. Brain Bomber's gimmick is that he has a remote control, but he's so slow and his bombs have just one range, so at this point in the game we can just run circles around him. The official guidebook to Super 2 says that Brain here is the inventor of the remote control. So did he invent it before the events of TD16? The remote control was already present there, even though White and Black were the only bombers at that point. Did his original human form invent it before he was turned into a bomber cyborg? I'm thinking too hard about this. Brain's mech is a giant Bomberman that places giant bombs. Upon its defeat, Brain disappears, leaving only his cloak behind. And here we have the final part, Plasma Bomber's base. Whoa, it's dark in here. Better turn on the lights. Some of the floors will crumble and become impassable if you walk over them. There are these hurt blocks that damage you if you walk into them, and in later levels they are invisible until you're right next to them, which can get really frustrating. But with this music, I really can't complain. This gives me Diddy Kong Racing vibes. Plasma Bomber doesn't really have a gimmick, he just has a throwing glove and really strong bombs. Then he boards his mech, a giant skull thing that lunges forward at you. Hey Plasma, I wrecked your mech, so what now? Oh sure, we can be friends. Oh. Whoops, I think you forgot about something in your mech. It is... the wise one from Golden Sun? No, the official guidebook refers to this thing as G-Ganzu, and it is the alien that created the Dastardlies. Much like Carrot, Diamond, and Dr. Book, it floats around above the reach of your bombs, but hey, that's what the new throwing glove is for. And so the Dastardly's base is destroyed, the credits roll, and White Bomber falls back down to the planet to his friends. The end. Multiplayer has seen a few changes, most notably if you win one match, you get to play as Gold Bomber in the next match. There are in fact 15 different palettes to choose from if you can find out how to unlock them, which I can't. But this does mark the first time for a lot of these colors that they are playable Bombermen. And you get to play roulette for a power-up that you get to start with when the next match starts. giving the winner an extra advantage. Whether this is fair is up for debate. We also see the Jelly Bomb power-up here, causing your bombs to bounce back and forth when kicked and hop all over the place when thrown. And we have the Power Bomb, which gives your first bomb, and only your first bomb, maximum flame range. If nothing else, it can replace Jelly Bombs if you picked one up and are trying to get rid of it. Just like for the rest of this game, the music is entirely new, and we have a few different tracks for battle mode. Man, when you listen to that music, you just think, someone should put lyrics to that and make a music video out of it. That was what you were thinking, right? Yes, this is official. It's from a bit later, but I just had to make mention of it here. One last thing to talk about would be the comic from the official guidebook. I can't find a full translation, but wow, what a face. Wait, does this mean Jesus is canon to the Bomberman universe? No, they're just adding in random English profanity. Wouldn't be the first time they did this. Bomberpedia has some summaries of the story. Here it is specified that Bomberman is captured from Earth. And here, Plasma states that he and White Bomber have the same creator. Wait, does that mean Mitsumori built them? Or that G Ganzu built White Bomber? Or that Mitsumori turned into G Ganzu? This is so confusing! I should just move on. Well, that's Super Bomberman 2. Sometimes seen as one of the best Bomberman games, though that's arguably because it's the last of the Super Bomberman series to be released everywhere. I really love the campaign mode and the music, but the lack of co-op kinda sucks. Most notably though, we now have our most reoccurring evil team of bombers and our lead female character, Pretty Bomber. Let's see where we go from here.